What's up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys with the Fortune Fairy Archetype video. So this video is dedicated to the Fortune Fairies, the chibi cute variations of the Fortune Ladies. And funny enough, yes, these cards and monsters were all used by the lovely Miss Carly Carmine, both in the OCG and both in the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. She was a struggling reporter who was trying to make her ends meet and trying to find her next gig. Through her deck, she was able to foretell the future. Funny enough, um, it's more so within the Fortune Ladies that you see the foretelling of the future than you do with the Fortune Fairies. But the Fortune Fairies were able to help her foresee the future in some weird way. Sadly enough, it didn't out well for Carly till she became a dark signer. But for the most part, these lovely ladies were featured in the recent Battle of the Legends Heroes Revenge pack. And in the OCG, they were part of the Collector's Pack Duelists of Revolution. So, this is one of the crazy things about these spellcasters is that they're actually really good in terms of spellcaster support. Whether they're banished or in the graveyard or in the deck, they have a way to interact with them. Through this filth, through even this card right here, Miracle Stone, they give some additional powers to other spellcasters based on the number of Fortune Fairies on the field. They do have a unique gimmick between them, which is when you draw into them, you can special summon them from your hand and then they gain an additional effect. So we will be going over each of the additional effects, what Fortune Lady they um, coincide with, and get introduced to the Fortune Fairies. So without further ado, guys, let's get started. So in the OCG, the Fortune Fairies are known as the Fortune Telling Witches, uh, due to the whole fortune telling gimmick that is behind them, both in the anime and in the card game. Weird sense enough of how they're playing, from going from the hand to the field, and then depending on how they're set up, is where they get their additional effect. So we start off with the first Fortune Fairy, and that is Fortune Fairy Hikari, known in the OCG as Fortune Telling Witch Hikari-chan. Her ability is that when you draw this card to your hand, you can reveal it. Special summon it from your hand to the field. If this card special summon from your hand, you can target one monster you control, send it to the graveyard. This special summon one level 1 spellcaster type monster from your deck. You only use the effect of Fortune Fairy Hikari once per turn. So this Fortune Fairy is the Fortune Fairy variation of the beautiful Fortune Lady Light. Fortune Lady Hikari and her both share the same similar setup, light attribute, spellcaster, and even level. Fortune Fairy Hikari, just like Fortune Lady Light, have a unique ability of getting other monsters to the field through their own effects. Unfortunately, Light has to leave the field. Fortune Fairy Hikari sends any card on the field to the graveyard, including herself. These two lovely light attribute spellcasters, of course, were used by Miss Carmine, and they start off relatively at level 1. Next, we move on to Fortune Fairy. Oops, that's not the Fortune Fairy. Fortune Fairy Een, known in the OCG as Fortune Telling Witch Een-chan. Her ability is that just like Fortune Lady Hikari, if you draw into her, you can special summon her from your hand. When this card is special summoned from your hand, you target one set card on the field and on your opponent's side of the field and destroy it. You only use the effect of Fortune Fairy Een once per turn. So she is the counterpart to her is her Fortune Lady counterpart, Fortune Lady Fire. Both of these monsters have the ability to destroy cards on the field. The only differences is that Fortune Lady Fire destroys face-up cards, while Fortune Fairy E destroys set cards. Fire will inflict damage to your opponent. Fortune Fairy E does not. This is both fire attributed monsters. Their background has fire schemes in the back, and even on their staffs, they have little emblems that indicate fire. They're also level 2 monsters. Next up is Fortune Fairy Hugh, known in the OCG as Fortune Telling Witch Hugh-chan. Her ability is that when this card is summoned from your hand, you can target one banished spellcaster type monster and add it to your hand. You only use the effect of Fortune Fairy Hugh once per turn. So her Fortune Lady counterpart is the beautiful Fortune Lady Wind. neither of them have the same type of effect. It was only occurring once after Fortune Lady Fire and Fortune Fairy Ian that all the other Fortune combos unfortunately did not end up the same. Fortune Fairy Ian is a monster who brings cards back to the hand. Fortunately, Win only destroys background. So sadly enough, there is no other iteration between them except for they're both beautiful green creatures, beautiful green-haired creatures. They have wind shape aesthetics in their background, and they both have the symbol of wind on their staffs. And they're level 3 in wind attribute. We move on to the next Fortune Fairy monster, and that is Fortune Fairy Sui, known in the OCG as Fortune Telling Witch Sui Chan. Her ability is that if you summon this card from your hand, you can target one other face-up monster on the field and banish it. During your next standby phase, you can return that card to the board. You can only use the effect of Fortune Fairy Sui once per turn. So her Fortune Lady counterpart is Fortune Lady Water, beautiful blue-haired, blue water attributed sirens. Sadly enough, they, just like Fortune Fairy Hue and Windy, do not share any of the same abilities. As Water is a draw card, Sweet is a remove card. Um, but sadly enough, that is the only aesthetics these two lovely ladies go for. In terms of everything else, they pretty much match up the same uh, water crystals on their staves, water as backgrounds, beautiful blue hair, and a death stare that can just kill you from a distance. Alright, we move on to the next fortune combo, and these are the level 5 and higher fortunes. So we have Fortune Fairy Anne, known as the OCG as Fortune Telling Witch Anne Chan. Her ability is when she sets a from the hand, you can banish one spellcaster type monster from your deck. You only use the effects of Fortune Fairy and Chan once per turn. Fortune Lady Dark is her counterpart, in both of them level 5 dark attribute spellcaster type monsters. They both have a bit of an iteration of darkness on their staffs. She has a weak abyss like crystal on hers, while Fortune Fairy Ancient is holding a black rose. A black rose, or just the scheme of purple. The thing about the scheme of purple is that in Japan, it is a symbolization of death. There was an episode of the anime in which I believe Fortune Fairy Anshan was flipped upside down, and it was another. No, it was split. It was the card she drew into for telling her future, and it was not a good sign for Carly. I do believe it was Fortune Anshan or Fortune Fairy Sui. But either way, the results was not good, but it did turn out good for us because it introduced the Fortune Ladies. But yeah, that is pretty much the only thing about Fortune Fairy Anne and Fortune Lady Doc in terms of their resemblance. So let's move these dark ladies out of the way and go on to the last of the Fortune combo. We have Fortune Fairy Chi Chan. Fortune Fairy Chi, and in the OCG, she's known as Fortune Telling Witch Chi Chan. Her Fortune Lady counterpart, of course, is the ever lovely Fortune Lady Earth. Fortune Fairy Chi Chan's ability is when she social summons, both players draw one card. You only use the effect of Fortune Fairy Chi Chan once per turn. So these two actually have the most resemblance to their respective duelists, Miss Carly Carmine, due to the fact that their bifocals are exactly the same as hers. Two big circle glass bifocals, similar hair color and similar hair mashup. But I think actually no, hers is actually dark. She and Earth are actually brown shade, which does have no resemblance to Carly except for the glasses and maybe the haircut. No, Carly's is more of a pointed triangle. Okay, so yeah, they just share the same glasses look as their duelist. But for the most part, these ladies do have a similar setup. They have an earth style crystal on their staffs. These lovely ladies do have um, earth attribute level 6 and are the highest level in the main deck for the respective archetypes. Fortune Fairy Chi, I believe, was featured in the episode and sadly was not seen after that. But fortunately, the Earth did make an appearance, and it was one rocky appearance. I can tell you that. Alright, so we have gone through all of the Fortune Lady and Fortune Fairy combos. The only thing left to talk about is their support cards. We start off with Miracle Stone. You can only control one Miracle Stone on the field. All spellcaster type monsters you control gain 5 attack and defense for each Fortune Fairy monster you control with a different name. Once a turn, when a attack is declared involving a Fortune Fairy monster, you can draw one card. So that is the effects of Miracle Stone. In Miracle Stone, you can see Fortune Fairy Anne, Fortune Lady Ian, Fortune Fairy Hugh, and Fortune Fairy Sweet, all combined with what seems to be incantations in a magical stone created in crystal. Next up is is Lucky Loan. This spell card says you draw a Fortune Fairy monster. You shall summon one spellcaster type monster from your hand or deck whose level is one lower than the other monster that was chosen. Then during your next turn, after this card resolves, you cannot normal summon or special summon monsters except for spellcaster type monsters. You can only use the effects of Lucky Loan once per turn. So this is just help you get more monsters to the field. The monsters that are in this card are, of course, Fortune Fairy Chi and Fortune Fairy Anne, silly as hell. Chi is level 6 and Anne is level 5. Then we move on to the last spell of the Fortune Fairy archetype, and that is unacceptable result. You can control subclass type monsters, so summon one Fortune Fairy monster from your hand. In the picture here, we have Fortune Fairy Ian and Fortune Fairy Hikari, as one is on the field and is not happy about the results she got, but her little her sister is there to help her in any way she can. This is actually a great way to speed up the process of getting those dead Fortune Fairies in your hand to the board. Something like if you draw an Anne or Chi, and you have no way of summoning them, you can just activate this, summon one of them to the field, and they'll trigger effect because they were supposed to summon from the hand. So, sadly enough, that is all the cards here for the Fortune Fairies. They don't have any trap cards, and as far as the current status of the game is now, they do not have any additional support. But, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys do enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and of course hit that bell when you guys want to be informed of when I upload some more content. Thank you guys so much for watching another Archetype video from this guy, and I hope you guys enjoy. I will catch you guys next time. HPJ, take care.